I'm Lorraine Ballard-Marl. We're going to talk about the recent incident in Center City in which a mob of 20-something suburbanites allegedly attacked and injured a gay couple. What makes this case especially interesting is the role social media had in helping to apprehend the suspects. We're going to talk about this and the implications of this case with Angela Giampolo. She is the founder of PhillyGayLawyer.com, and she's also the host of SpeakOUT, which is a feature that we have on this station on a monthly basis to address LGBTQ issues. Angela, always a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thanks, Lauren. Good to be back.
All right, let's talk about the specifics. So just to refresh everybody's memory, just to lay out the basic situation, what exactly happened as far as we know?
So it happened September 11th, Thursday evening, and like you said, a group of about 12 to 15 people were having dinner at La Viola, a BYOB restaurant. Simultaneously, this gay couple, two men, left their apartment to go for a walk and get a slice of pizza. Somehow, allegedly, it said that within the group of 12 to 15 people, they started yelling obscenities to the two guys, faggot, what have you, and an altercation ensued. The people that were charged are saying that it was self-defense. That's what they're saying. And one of the two men ended up in the hospital with a broken jaw, wired shut, several injuries to both of them. And as of now, that's all that we know. And what really made this go national is to the extent that social media and really the whole community, not just LGBT individuals on social media, but anyone who was in and around there on Instagram and on Twitter, really helped bring these people to justice.
So it was kind of a good news, bad news situation. The bad news obviously was the severity of this case. And the good news is that people really rose to the occasion. They really came forward. They were outraged by the incident and they were willing to do something about it. And social media contributed to the apprehension of some of the alleged perpetrators. And we have 3 individuals who've been charged.
Yeah, we have 3 people that have been apprehended. Philip Williams, Catherine Knott, who's become famous, and Kevin Harrigan. So they're all from the suburbs, Bucks County area. And one of them, Catherine Knott, is even the daughter of the chief of police and apparently has been a piece of work her entire life.
And you mentioned that she's become famous because of her Twitter feed, which now is public knowledge. It's been reported all over the news in Philly.com and probably across the nation at this point. It was really disturbing to read some of the comments that she had posted. It just goes to show that your Twitter feed is public knowledge. So be careful what you tweet.
Absolutely. And it's really going to work against them legally because whatever their defenses are going to be about self-defense and what have you, to be able to go back and show public records of other hateful things that she has said towards the LGBT community and tweeted for years will show at least some animus going into this situation.
Yeah.
They always say, watch what you put out there because you can never take it back down.
No.
And that's real in her situation.
It's also interesting, too, that we've got 3 people that have been charged, but there was a larger group. So
how they went from 15 to 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's really, at least we have 3 people apprehended and at least people were charged. And I think that's why it took so long to bring the charges forward. I think the police were really whittling it down. But to be honest, a group of 12 to 15 white people from the burbs, I'm sure they had a lot of parents that were lawyers and a lot of parents that if their kids were charged and maybe it didn't rise to the level of these 3, that there would have been some issues. So I think had it been a group of 12 to 15 African-American people at, 5th and A that beat up 3 people, all 15 would be in jail. So yeah, I'm a little incensed that 15 people were involved in this and only 3. Even the other 12 should be charged with criminal conspiracy because they stood by and they let it happen.
Yeah. Someone
has a wired jaw in the hospital. So if nothing else, everybody present, if they weren't physically removing these 3 from them, should at least be charged with criminal conspiracy.
Angela, let's talk about the laws that are in place right now. Of course, for all of us who are sensitive to these issues, we see it as a hate crime. However, in Pennsylvania, the alleged perpetrators cannot be charged with a hate crime because there is no law against it.
Right. Everybody needs to stop saying that this was a gay bashing or a hate crime legally. We all know it is, and federally it is considered a hate crime, and in 31 other states it's considered a hate crime. But these people are not being charged with hate crimes. They're being charged with simple assault, aggravated assault, reckless endangerment of another person, but there is no hate crime. And what a lot of people don't realize, we always get down on Pennsylvania and their history of rights for LGBT individuals. In 2002, Pennsylvania passed hate crime legislation for mentally and physically disabled, ancestry, and sexual orientation and gender identity. And in 2008, the Supreme Court overturned that procedural measures, and all of them got thrown back out. So these individuals could have been charged under the Matthew Shepard 2009 hate crime legislation that President Obama gave us. But the U.S. Attorney's Office, for some reason, didn't do that. So we're left with what we have at the state level, which is nothing.
Angela, what does being charged with a hate crime do to the charges that are already in place?
It would basically add more severe penalties, longer time in jail.
I wonder if we have any idea of where we're at in terms of crimes against the LGBT community, violent crimes. Do you think they're going up, going down, getting better, getting worse?
Well, there's two points to that I would want to make. First, hate crimes against the LGBT community are the third most prevalent behind race and religion. I mean, that's intense, right? What are the two things? Race and religion. That's what divides this country in a lot of ways. And ironically enough, so are LGBT issues. Can we get married? Can we not? What's the Pope think? President Carter just came out saying Jesus never discriminated against anyone. I mean, everyone's talking about being gay in some way, shape, or form. So it's the third most prevalent form of hate crime. And also, just to point out, there have been hate crimes in Philadelphia every month, every day.
Right.
I heard of incidences that happened last week with two friends. I think what is good about this particular situation is the mob mentality of it. The fact that there were 15 people and it was so egregious is bringing this to the spotlight. I can list people whose faces were unrecognizable just within the last year. So this has been happening in Philadelphia, and I was disappointed then that people weren't as outraged. But if it took this situation to bring it to the forefront, then at the end of the day, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Kudos to the camera work of the remote cameras, because, boy, those were really clear, weren't they?
You're right. It was like you're watching a TV show.
I know. Right. It was amazing. I mean, the clarity of the surveillance video was extraordinary. Plus, the effort of a particular Twitter dude who posted the video. And also, what was cool about the video is you watched it and then they would zoom in and they would freeze the frame. And it was as clear as day. I mean, if you knew who that person was, you would be able to recognize him very easily.
Yep. I had a friend who put something on Facebook shortly after that went viral, and she recognized him from high school.
Really?
And put it on her Facebook, but it wasn't something that I could report about because it was just literally her thinking that she had seen a classmate. So I called her up, asked her why, and she was definitely up to date on everything, but it was because of that. I went to school with him.
Wow.
It was that clear. And I also want to point out and thank Leviola. To the extent that they could, they were helpful and completely cooperative with the police investigation. They in no way had to or under no obligation. But anything that they could say about this alleged group that may have done that, they provided all that information.
There is an effort to bring gender identity back into the fold of hate crimes. Tell us where we're at with that.
And also, it's sexual orientation, gender identity, and the perception of, right? And that's very interesting because you could see someone from across the street and be, oh, he looks gay. And a hate crime could just occur because of your perception of.
Yeah.
And being trans inclusive. Only 16 states out of all of those that do have hate crimes for the LGBT community actually include the T.
Really?
Right. And they're targeted the most often.
Yeah.
And have statistically more hate crimes against themselves than against them than anyone else. But so where we are right now is State Rep Brendan Boyle has had sort of revived what was overturned in 2008, new legislation in about a year and a half ago. And he's working hard to try to get it passed in this session. It's not looking like it'll happen in Harrisburg this session. If not, State Rep Brian Sims is going to physically bring the two victims to Harrisburg with him when he pleads his state rep friends to join him in passing this. And also on the day that they were charged, a longtime known gay senator in Harrisburg, a senator from Pittsburgh, came out. He was just one of those people that sort of everyone knew, like Jodie Foster. It's like we don't even have to talk about it,
right.
But he came out anyways because it's important that everybody knows. So Harrisburg on both sides of the aisle are behind passing this. And since it may take a while, Councilman Kinney, who's been behind this and wanted them charged federally, as did I, along with Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, is passing hate crime legislation right here in Philadelphia so that even though it may take a while for Pennsylvania to be protected, at least here within the county of Philadelphia will be protected very shortly.
Well, I want to thank you so much, as always, for bringing your perspective on these important issues. And once again, Angela Giampolo, founder of PhillyGayLawyer.com, and also our special guest once a month for a series of interviews about issues related to the LGBT community. We call it Speak Out. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you, Lorraine.
I'm Lorraine Ballard-Morrill.